Let's talk Kentucky here at the Voice of College Football. The Cats are taking on the Vols in one of those SEC rivalry matchups that we may see less often going forward. We'll talk about that with Kevin McGuffey from Last Word on College Football. A couple 5-2 teams that are both 2-2 in the SEC, and with Georgia still. Now, I know this is a spoiler alert for everyone. Georgia's still undefeated. They've been like undefeated constantly for 3 years now. That Georgia's going to be tough to track down because now teams are losing multiple games. So Kentucky took its shot. That hasn't happened. Tennessee will get its shot later, but lost a second consecutive game, at least second SEC game, as they fell after a 2-score lead at Alabama. They went down. Kentucky coming off a bye week, Kevin. What do they need to get cleaned up to have a shot in this one?
Well, I will say before we get started, I want, just based on the way that they're playing, I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think Missouri might have a really good Missouri and Georgia might be very, considering the way that things have gone the last couple of years anyway. That was definitely going to be one to watch, but we'll see what happens with that one. As far as Kentucky, the bye week probably couldn't have come at a better time. Losing 2 straight, losing at Georgia, pretty much everyone expected that, maybe just not the way that they lost. And then 2 weeks ago against Missouri, jump out to a 14-0 lead. Everything's looking great. Like, okay, we got this game, we're going to win. And then just the wheels completely fell off. Penalties, turnovers, just, simple, mistakes. Everything you should be not doing in week 7, they were still doing it. I think, the final stat line, Kentucky had more penalty yards than passing yards. And you're not going to win. You're not going to win too many games in the SEC like that. So, and of course, with the bye week, it also gives a chance to get healthy. Trevin Wallace, star linebacker, did not play against Missouri. Keyshawn Silver up front on the defensive line did not play. On the offensive side, Tavian Robinson and Barryon Brown have both been dinged up since the Florida game. And the thought is, or the hope is, with that extra week, now that all these guys will be back and ready to go. One guy who won't play is Jalen Geiger, who's still going to be out due to an injury, probably for a few more weeks. So, hopefully a lot of things get fixed on the bye week. We'll see come Saturday night.
You mentioned those passing statistics compared to the penalty yards, and we are still waiting for Kentucky to put it all together in the passing game because they certainly have the weapons on the outside to take advantage of, but between the offensive pass protection and also Devin Leary's inconsistency, it's just not happening.
Oh, you're exactly right, and that's been one of the most puzzling things I think this entire season is that Leary just quite frankly hasn't looked like the guy that he was at North Carolina State. Now I don't know if it's playing under center, because I believe before he'd always run everything out of the shotgun. I don't know if that's been some of the issue, but if you watch some of these games, I mean, the Kentucky's offensive line, if you remember back to 2022, Will Levis is running for his life pretty much the entire game, like every game. The offensive line, the Big Blue Wall, has done a great job this year. It's just been like timing, and Kentucky, the biggest thing, it's not all on Leary, is drop passes. I believe there was a stat. Kentucky is not a category you want to be tops in the nation in, like dropping like 12.5% of the passes, thrown their way. And then if you can't hold on to the ball, then you're not gonna move the offense. And then there's been times where guys have been open and Leary has just missed them, like either overthrown them, underthrown them. Receiver runs one run route and he's thinking they're doing something else. So that's been the biggest mystery so far. Everyone was all excited, yours truly, about Liam Cohen 2.0 here because of what happened in 2021. And so far it's just not hit like everyone thought it would. But maybe Saturday against Tennessee would be a good time to get everything going in the right direction.
Yeah, Tennessee comes to town. We talked some Tennessee football with a contributor a few days ago. How would you term this rivalry in terms of importance and how unique it is to the Kentucky faithful?
Oh, I think obviously it's a huge rivalry. even though looking at it from a Kentucky standpoint, it's not. You're a lot happier looking at it from the Tennessee perspective than you are the Kentucky perspective, because I believe I think it's the 119th time that they played, and just in the 2000s, I think Tennessee is 20-3, I believe. So just from the game perspective, it's not very pretty on the Kentucky side, but it's another one of those things with a measuring stick kind of thing. Kentucky has flipped the switch against Florida and has honestly dominated that series the last few years, but they've never been able to get over that hump against Tennessee. Even like 2018 and 2021, where Kentucky had the better team, but Tennessee still won the game. I think it's huge if Kentucky can win this one. Obviously, it's going to be good because it'll get them 6 wins and be bowl eligible. But another thing you and I were talking about before we got started, this could be one of the last times, with the new scheduling, Kentucky and Tennessee may not play every year. And I believe, with the exception of I think it was 1943 during World War II, I think Kentucky's played going back to like the 1910s. Kentucky and Tennessee has played every year. So it'd be really weird, but it's the new age of college football we're in, to not see Kentucky and Tennessee play every year, because for years they played for I believe it was the beer barrel, the bourbon barrel, that they stopped giving that out as a trophy. But like I said, it would be huge for Kentucky to finally get to that place where they feel like they're even with Tennessee. And of course, everyone is a Tennessee fan just heard that statement and is just going to flock and flood your comment section, which is fine. That's what Vol Nation does, and that's cool. But to me, it's going to be it's going to be sad if Kentucky, even though Kentucky hasn't beaten Tennessee very consistently, it's going to be sad if they don't end up playing each other every year.
Folks, we have a new SEC channel launched about 6 weeks ago. Please check it out, and you may be watching it right now, depending on where you're watching this video, but please subscribe and help support the channel. Give us a like as well if you enjoy the content. Got Kevin McGuffey here from Last Word on College Football, breaking down the Cats, 5-2, 2-2 in the SEC. Looking in the mirror at Tennessee, 5-2, 2-2 in the SEC. So, of course, bowl standings are in the mix, and the rivalry, bragging rights, and all of that. But beyond that, as we talked about before we started to record, and a little bit on here as well, Mizzou has actually got the best shot, and they've emerged as the team with no losses in the conference, or they do have a loss in the conference. I'm losing track now. That's right. They beat Kansas State outside the conference, but they lost an in-conference game. But they'll have the head-to-head with Georgia to be able to then put themselves in position in the East. They lost to LSU a few weeks ago.
Right.
That now we have a situation where the likes of Tennessee and Kentucky in particular, since we're focused on this game, really have no realistic shot of winning the East now after having lost to Georgia directly. So is there a portion of the fan base, Kevin, who sees this as, oh, this is great, Mark Stoops is doing a great job, he's elevated us considerably, but now we seem to be stuck in this place of we're just playing for a better bowl game every year and a record that looks good and respectable rather than having a realistic shot at playing for a championship?
There's, I would say you are correct there, especially on message boards and some Facebook groups and stuff. There's some people that, but what I like to say is you think about where the program was, and I've talked about this, where the program was before Stoops took over, and how bad it was and what he's done. But there are people who say that, basically right now, Kentucky, 7-8 wins, that's pretty much the, that's pretty much the ceiling every year. And we just have to accept that and just move on. And then you have some people out there in the fringes like, well, basically Stoops is taking us as far as we can. Now we need somebody else, which I think, to my knowledge, I think that's insane. But there is a portion that thinks that there's 7-8 wins, going to they're on a 7 straight bowl game streak, which has never been done in school history. Like I said, I think Stoops has been perfect for the job. I don't know. I'm sure there's players out there. If Stoops was to ever leave, probably John Summerall at Troy would be the first person I would call. Obviously former Kentucky assistant who's done great things down there. If something like that were to happen, that's who, because you still get the persistent Mark Stoops to Iowa rumors, and there's been some Mark Stoops to Michigan State rumors. I don't see that one. I think Iowa, if he ever left, that might be the job, but I don't know if Ferentz is going anywhere anytime soon. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, I think most people are happy, I think, with the 7 to 8 wins, and then you get that 10-win season occasionally. But there's always and you should want more. You don't want to just be consistent or complacent and say, "Yay, we got 7 wins, woohoo!" They want to be competing for the SEC title. They want to be competing for of course, there won't be divisions now, but they want to get to that next level. And like I said, with Texas and Oklahoma coming in next year, it's going to be really interesting to see how this balances out, how the schedules balance out, and how Kentucky does. Because right now they've got a great recruiting class coming in for 2024. So it's just a matter. I don't know how you get over that hump. I really thought they were going to play much better against Georgia than they did. That was just total. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but just disappointment. And then to start out so well against Missouri and then have it end like it did. So kind of a long way around. I don't know. There's some people, like I said, that are happy with 7, 8 wins, but you should obviously be trying to get more. If the ultimate goal was make it to Atlanta for an SEC championship game.
Kentucky and Tennessee getting together. If you want to get into the stadium, go to ticketsmarter.com, TicketSmarter app. You can download the app. It's the best platform on the secondary ticket market, safe and secure. Use our promo code BIG. You get $10 off of a purchase of at least $100, or BIG 20 of a ticket purchase of at least $300 right there at ticketsmarter.com. Use the app as well. All right, Kevin, appreciate you stopping by and breaking things down for us.